Hi, this is Tom Sedlak, General Manager at 33rd Company Property Management. Thanks so much for watching this video podcast. Today's topic is the move-in and move-out process for our Kansas City metro area rental properties. And I tell you, single-family homes are probably some of the more difficult homes to manage, or difficult properties to manage. When you've got a multi-family property, you typically have the same paints, the same carpets, the same appliances. They're all co-located, probably with an on-site maintenance person and a leasing agent. And the management is certainly much more simplified, and the ability to organize maintenance is much easier as well. With single-family homes, not so much. Single-family homes are all different paints, different carpets. They're all scattered throughout the metro area. They're all detached. There are no on-site managers or leasing agents, and you're putting a lot of trust into the individual tenants that you're putting into a property. So it's very important that you ensure that you have excellent documentation, and this goes beyond just the lease and the addendums, but the move-in and move-out documentation is absolutely critical when it comes to managing and renting out single-family homes. For 33rd Company, we use a very detailed move-in and move-out checklist. Tenants, prior to the move-in, they've already been screened, they've already seen the property. We've had our maintenance tech out and done a pre-walkthrough to find the obvious cleaning and damages, utility shutoffs, and to do a basic functional check. And then, of course, they do a full, comprehensive portfolio of move-in pictures. And typically we take HD pictures, high-resolution pictures, still pictures that are easily printable and easily used in court, and we take several hundred per home, because we want to capture every square inch of that house as best as we possibly can to make sure that we have photo documentation of the entire home at the time of move-in. But guess what? That's not good enough. We also want something signed by the tenant saying that this was the move-in condition of the home. And so that move-in checklist that I talked about earlier, we're basically going to have the tenant walk through and sign that they agree that the home is in the condition that it is. And in fact, it states on this move-in checklist that unless otherwise noted, the home is clean, undamaged, and in good working order. And then the tenant fills in a check for the living room, the dining room, the bedrooms, the windows, the floors, the ceiling, the walls, whatever. And then they annotate that document at move-in with the property manager that the home is in that condition. If there's a mark on the wall, they'll simply put MR. If there's a stain on the carpet, they'll put ST. And then that way all of the existing cosmetic issues are documented, so that at the move-out time, not only do we have the pictures at move-in and the document that they signed saying that the home was in that condition, but then we have the move-out pictures to compare everything to, and then we can very easily confirm whether there was actual damage during the course of the tenancy and ascribe that damage to that particular tenant. So on move-in day, a lot goes on. The deposits, including the pre-lease deposits, are collected and they're put in escrow. All the lease documents, typically they're going to be executed prior to move-in, and so those will be signed electronically by the tenant. And then on the day of move-in, the tenant performs the actual walkthrough. And typically they'll have 3 days to complete the move-in checklist. If they're doing an escorted move-in with the property manager, then that checklist will be completed on that same day. And then all the documents then will again be signed and provided to the tenants. Any work orders that are needed in the home, they're identified by the tenant after move-in. We ask them to aggregate them in any non-critical work orders that are discovered over the first week and submit them in a batch. And the reason is because it saves the tenant the aggravation of having to coordinate access for a handyman to come and fix those. Plus it saves the owner money because now we can do it all in one visit, and it saves the maintenance time and effort, and they only have to open up one work order. So typically that's how initial issues are resolved on a work order basis. And for single-family homes, even though we do a pre-walkthrough to see that everything's working and do a basic functional check, still there's usually always something, one or two things that typically seem to go wrong at the beginning of a tenancy. And this is mostly the result of differences in use. For instance, the back burner of a stove that the owner never used, and of course the first burner the tenant turns on is the back burner and it doesn't work. And so differences in use certainly has an impact on whether discrepancies have been noted before or they're noted upon the move-in of a new tenant. But those are things that we've typically found, is that there's usually a little flurry of a couple of work work orders at the beginning of a tenancy, and then it all dies down, and then you only have the regular issues going forward after that. Tenants are provided a video link on the move-in process from 33rd Company, and it shows them the basic emergency shutoffs for gas, water, and electric, how to change the furnace filters and other consumables, and other requirements for them living in a single-family home. It's important that the tenants are familiar with the single-family home and how to maintain it and how to take care of some basic emergency functions like shutting off those utilities if there are issues. They also have a 24/7 website as well as a phone number that's answered by a live human being 24/7. How about that in today's day and age? But it's so important. At Saturday night at 2 in the morning, if there's a gas leak or there's a water leak, absolutely a homeowner should be very interested in their management company having the service that will help the tenant triage an issue right away as soon as they call to minimize collateral and consequential damages from those sorts of events. And so yes, 33rd Company does have a 24/7 live technician that absolutely responds to those kinds of calls. And then not only that, but we also help triage too, to help save costs for the owner. For instance, if there's a clogged disposal, typically that can be fixed by the tenant themselves by simply showing them where the thermal reset button is on the bottom of the disposal, and also showing them that at the bottom of the disposal there's a standard quarter Allen wrench fitting for just an Allen wrench to stick it in there and turn it so that chicken bone can be dislodged from inside of the disposal. So we do a lot of triaging at no cost to property owners, and that helps tremendously, and it helps also add satisfaction to the tenant because then they can self-address things and not have to have a vendor come and help them. And then, of course, the very end of our process for moving in and moving out includes a survey that's sent out to the tenant, and we solicit feedback and suggestions, of course, on improving the overall process. And in general, we've found that we've been able to really tweak this process to make it very efficient, very good in terms of documentation, but also very non-invasive on the tenant's time and energy in terms of moving into a single-family home. So I hope this information's been helpful to you. If you're looking for a good property management company to help you out in the Kansas City metro area, please give 33rd Company a call. We'll be happy to help you, and you have a great day. Thank you.